So I've seen people say that they think the entity is the cat. I don't think it's the cat. I think the entity in Obsession is a mimic, right? Because in the very first scene where we see it interact with Bear, it's talking about how its cat has died. What is it talking about? It's mimicking Bear, right? It's like its first steps into the world trying to understand everything. So it just says what it thinks would come off as appealing to him since his cat died. And I think this also goes to show why throughout the movie there's such this obsession and infatuation with the cat. It doesn't really understand what love is, but it knows that Bear loved that cat. So it does things with the cat that it thinks he would love, that he would enjoy, right? It's just attempting to mimic his feelings for the cat or do like nice things for him concerning the cat, which it knows that he loved. Another one, which I think is probably the biggest or as big as the first reason, is how it mimics Sarah throughout the movie, right? I've seen some people say that at the party where it has everyone, it starts to mimic how Sarah dresses in a way at that party, which I don't know. I don't really know too much about that because I have no idea how Nikki usually dresses, but you could argue this one as well too. This one's kind of either or, but I think the bigger one is how at the end of the movie we see it starts to mimic Sarah more and more as his interest in Sarah grows. So I think the mimic can understand his emotions, or not understand, but it can feel his emotions and tries to mimic or take as much as it can from whatever it is that he is interested in, right? Because once it saw that that interest had grown so high that it started to supersede his interest in the entity or Nikki, it got rid of her and imitated her. Got tattoos like her, looked just like her, got the body or whatever for her, right? It doesn't really understand how he feels, so it tries to mimic it the best that it can throughout the entire movie, right? And then another really big one is the One Wish Willow, right? I thought throughout the entirety of the movie, why did it not just use the One Wish Willow at the beginning of the movie? It could have just went to the shop, bought a One Wish Willow, made it love him, and then that would have been the entire plot of the movie, right? Why not just do that from the beginning? But then I thought maybe it didn't understand the One Wish Willow until at the end of the movie it read the instructions and then it realized, oh, this is how I came to be, right? This is how he loves me, or this is how I love him. So once it read that, then it made the wish. But before that, it didn't know. It just copied what Bear did, which is something we've seen it do throughout the movie, is imitate or copy how Bear feels or what Bear does. And so those are my reasons, those are my theories as to why I think the entity is actually just a mimic in Obsession, and that's all it is. It just mimics memories, emotions, feelings, and actions. That's it. It doesn't actually fully understand anything. And then at the end, okay, another one I thought about is when it's about to kill itself or shoot itself in the head, right? That's exactly what Bear was about to do. Another mimic reason. But that's just my theory. Let me know what you guys think down below.